Okay. You see me yet? Okay. We will see. Okay, bye. Okay, everybody, I hope you can see me. All right, awesome. Yay. Okay. I can't seem to not have technical glitches every time I start this. Okay. I made myself an orange Julius. I know that Amy Port, who I think is in the audience, would say, no sugar. We're going to do it anyways. Okay. So I'm just going to get started because we're already late. And I'm going to get into it. So the first thing that I want you to do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Share. And it's going to be like the vortex. Present to everyone. Whoa! Multiple universes. Okay. And my phone, so I can use my little remote. Do-do-do-do-do. What a mess. Okay, so I want to make sure that you have the workbook. And I also want to make sure that you can see my screen. So I'm going to pop out for a second, make sure that you have the workbook. And the workbook is on the left-hand side of the Crowdcast page. There's a big click here to download workshop workbook. And if you go there and click on it, it'll take you to Google Drive where you can download it. Now, really quick, I'm just going to make sure here that everyone can see my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Can everyone see that the vortex that is many, many windows within windows? That always trips me out. I love it. So Clay or someone, can you please confirm that you can see my screen and that you were able to see my slides? Okay, perfect. Poor quality. I need to fix my internet, but for today, that is not something I can do because we need to get started, but I will work on it for future workshops for sure. Okay, so we all have the workbook and we'll need that later. And I want you to stay till the end and stay with me, not just because there's so much awesome stuff coming your way, but also to show you how to get your hands on these awesome free gifts. I just said gifts. These awesome free gifts. I'm going to send you free gifts. It's going to be amazing. No, these free gifts, they're PDFs that are interactive worksheets that you can use to master your Mac. They are pulled right from the course. I've worked very hard on them. They walk you step by step through how to master all of the different little tips and tricks that are available on your Mac that you probably don't know about. Okay, awesome. Now, before I get started, I just want to say, don't try to multitask when you watch. You're here because you want to be more organized and productive. Like, seriously, people, this is a productivity workshop. That's like eating a donut at the gym. So do yourself a favor and stay with me. I guarantee something's going to happen. Your phone's going to buzz, whatever. Stay strong. Do not check it. Stay with me. You're going to get a ton of value here. So I want you to close everything else down, turn it off, eliminate distractions, sign out of chat, do whatever you need to do so you can stay here and focus with me. Have someone hide your dang phone. I want you to be focused. I'm going to be focused. We're going to get a lot of value out of today. And I want you to get the most you possibly can. Okay? Now, I know what you might be thinking, possibly when you signed up for this, and what you might be thinking right now, getting ready to get all this awesome content is, my computer is a disaster. It's so bad, it's beyond fixable. And I've heard that a lot, and that's a common fear. I'm not an organized person. Even if you show me exactly what to do, I probably won't do it. And I know I need a better I know I need to be better organized, but I don't have the time to get organized. And that's a legitimate worry. You know, time is not a renewable resource. You know, we only have so much in a day. So did any of these ring true for you? Why did you come here today? What about you? I want to hear, why you're here, and so I can best help you and tailor the content to exactly what you need, because I would like to make progress today on really tackling your biggest problems. So tell me in the comments who you are, and I'll come back to those and put any questions in there as we go through. And at the end, I'll answer all the questions at the end, instead of popping in and popping out. But please tell me in the comments who you are, and then address any questions or write out any questions, and I'll address them at the end. Okay. Now remember that practice makes progress, not perfect. That's what we're going to do today. We're just going to practice a very efficient system for naming, organizing, and cleaning up our computer. It's never going to be perfect. I've tried. And so today we're just practicing a few things that we can do to be more organized and productive. And I love this little cartoon. Dude, sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something. That's kind of my life motto. So here's what you're going to learn today. Well, here's what we're going to practice together today. We're going to practice one simple trick to keep your desktop clutter-free, and this is an awesome tip, and you're going to love it. We're also going to learn how to name your files and folders so you can always find what you're looking for instantly with only 2 keystrokes. It's definitely possible. And a file and folder organizational system that will help you perfectly organize all your stuff and keep it organized, as well as some Mac Ninja skills that make navigating your stuff a heck of a lot easier. There's a lot of secret tips and tricks in here, and I'm excited to share them with you. Okay, I first want to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me. So we're going to hop in my little time machine. And from January 2007 to January 2015, I built a very successful career, helping brands like these use social media to connect with their customers. And during that time, I also built a strong personal brand. That's maybe how you know me and why you're here. I was a fully digital girl, immersed in a digital world, and I was crushing it. I was featured in Vanity Fair magazine as one of America's tweethearts. I've been featured in Huffington Post and Forbes several times. My college gave me an award for one of the most achieved in my class, of which I graduated with mediocre grades and with a degree that I've never, ever used. And today I'm still considered a social media influencer. But in late 2013, something changed. This seemingly happy, very digital girl had a very real life digital meltdown. It was a long time coming, and I'm going to tell you how it all went down. And I think that you'll relate, not to my specific story, but to the situation that I found myself in. In 2011, I was living in New York City with a cushy job as VP of Marketing at Manila, a startup incubated and financed solely by the Hearst Corporation. If you're not familiar with the Hearst Corporation, this is the Hearst Tower in New York City where I went to work every day. Not too shabby, huh? Well, let me show you inside. First, you walk into the lobby. Hey, lobby. And then you say, wave to the security guy. They're really nice. Hi, security guys. And then you head up the escalator. Yes, that is surrounded by a huge waterfall on each side. You pass by the lounge on your way out to the elevators, which were insane, by the way. They were the most technologically advanced elevators I've ever seen. They were smart and they were fast. You could get from the 2nd floor to the 60th floor within a matter of seconds. My ears would pop every single time. And they were super popular with the fashionistas because they had great lighting and floor-to-ceiling mirrors. They were amazing. And although this was not my office, this is the view that I remember. It's ironic that with a view like this and with working in such an amazing, beautiful building in New York City, I felt completely trapped. When I wasn't chained to my desk or stuck in long meetings, I was on my way between the two. I cried on Sundays because I didn't want to go to work on Monday. I had worked so hard to get to where I was, but deep down, I knew I had to get out. I felt alone. I felt like a piece of this corporate puzzle that just didn't quite fit. So I left, made a big decision to work from home. And instead of finding another 9-to-5 job, I was going to attempt to make it on my own. I was self-employed and working beside my also self-employed boyfriend, Clay, who's in this picture, in our 1-bedroom New York City apartment in Hell's Kitchen. That was our apartment. And when I say working beside Clay, I mean working right beside Clay. This is where I spent most of my day and evening. But something happened, something switched. There was a switch in my brain that just that was clicked up or clicked down. I couldn't open my computer. Every time I opened up my MacBook, I felt as though I was being crushed under the weight of everything I had to manage. I would have anxiety attacks when I heard the little sound that the MacBook makes when it turns on. The most common tasks, like checking email and searching for files, it was unbearable. And rationally, I knew that this was ridiculous. But I swear, as soon as I flipped open my computer, my brain stopped working. I don't know if you ever feel that way when you know all the things that you want to get done, and you open up your computer and you're just like, I don't know what I should be doing right now. There's so much I can't choose. My focus was fried. I couldn't pay attention to anything for more than a few minutes. I couldn't prioritize, set goals, make decisions if I was in front of my computer. My brain would just shut off. I didn't know how to make sense of why I was struggling so badly and why I couldn't get past it. And so I deep dive into brain science, trying to figure out why was my brain doing this to me? Because I was a healthy, young, smart person. I didn't understand why I was struggling so hard with getting work done on my computer. And since then, I've read hundreds of scientific studies, read dozens of books about the brain. I've tried and tested all of the top productivity systems, read all the latest books on productivity in the brain, and I started to test everything I was learning on myself. Of course, we're the best guinea pigs. And I've been creating, testing, and evolving new, better ways of working ever since. It's become somewhat of an obsession of mine, perfecting my workflow so that I can get done what I need to get done so I can get off my computer and do other things that I love. Now, what I really began to uncover and understand is that technology isn't really the problem. We are. We allow it to take over because it literally serves as an extension of us, of our minds. And we desperately need it to help us handle everything. The unprecedented amount of information we have to remember and all the small things we need to keep track of in order for us to be able to handle everything. Yet we treat our computers like a big disorganized drawer that everyone has in their kitchen, right? The junk drawer. So our computing machines, quote unquote, have become large, inglorious, and fantastically disorganized kitchen junk drawers full of photos, tax documents, games, articles to read, to-do lists, books, screensavers of cats wearing party hats, music, contacts, emails, calendars, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. But the real problem is, and what we don't realize is that our brain doesn't know the difference between our digital world and our real world. It doesn't see or experience those two worlds differently. So all the things in your digital world, vacation photos, Google chats, emails, video conferencing, this webinar, are all experienced in the same way that face-to-face conversations are, bumping into an old friend on the way to lunch, window shopping at the mall. They're all experienced the same. Now, this may sound weird to you because you know the difference between something that's real and something that's digital, right? You know that you're looking at your computer right now. Your logical mind's like, whatever. But beneath the surface of our conscious awareness, in the more primitive part of our mind, there's no difference. We experience the world the same. That's why when you get an email that is negative, or that's saying you did a terrible job, how it makes you feel awful. It's like they were saying it to your face, because we experience it the same. Our mind doesn't see reality. It interprets and responds to our environment, whether that environment is digital or physical. To illustrate this point, I want you to think about a time when you were on vacation. It can be a recent trip or one a long time ago. Do you have a mental image? It doesn't have to be epic or elaborate. Just bring to mind a pleasant, relaxing, or fun or exhilarating vacation experience. Maybe you're laughing with friends, watching a beautiful sunset, or you're riding a jet ski and the wind is whipping your hair around as you zip across the water. Now, that's not something real that your mind is experiencing right now, but it is real in your mind because your mind can create it, right? And that's why digital chaos creates mental chaos in exactly the same way that real world clutter, noise, and disorganization does. Our real world environment has an impact on our mind. That's why tidying up the house or getting all the stuff on your desk and making it organized can feel like it makes a big difference. And it does make a big difference. So when your desktop is cluttered with files and your downloads folder is full, your mind sees it as real stuff. And that's why an influx of new emails, an impossible to-do list, a stack of important files that need to be managed can trigger thoughts and feelings like there's so much to do. Why is all of this not done yet? There's important stuff in there I'm missing. I just know it. Oh, crap, I forgot about that. I am so behind. I'm never going to catch up. As you can tell, I feel that way sometimes. Now, before I learned about how to deal with it all, the most I could hope for every day was getting through things I had to do and not hating every minute of it. I'm sure that you can relate some days. And that was an amazing day, right? Now my relationship with my technology and my work, the work I create, is collaborative and fun. And that's because I've totally transformed the way I think about and use my technology. And since that major shift, I've not only been able to do so much more than ever before, I'm happier, I'm less stressed, I'm at peace with what I'm able to accomplish in a given day. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And now I teach other people how they can do the same thing. I've helped hundreds of people master their technology and transform the way they work, and I love it. And I'm excited to share some of that excitement and knowledge with you right now. All right, so now it's time to get into the meat, the juicy stuff. I love this picture, eating your brain like spaghetti. No, I think it's marvelous. Okay, so where do we start? We start with the secret of file naming. Well, it's actually more like a file naming special trick, but it's a powerful one because if you use it, if you start to use it and use it consistently, you're always able to find what you're looking for quickly, even if you don't remember where you put it. And if you really embrace it, you'll never look at search or your files the same way again. And in a few minutes, I'm going to show you the trick, but before I do, it's helpful to understand where it came from and why it works. First, you need to wrap your head around the idea that organization is out and search is in. So my argument, and Google's and Apple's and many other tech giants, arguably it was their argument, and I agree, that search function has gotten so good now, it shouldn't matter where you save something because you can always find it via searching relevant keywords, right? This makes sense. Why should we worry about where something is saved if we can quickly find it via search? The problem is that finding what we're looking for isn't always so easy when we don't know the right keywords to find it, or the words that we are searching are bringing up too many irrelevant search results. Right? Oh, sorry, I wasn't clicking. Okay. Right now, we name most of our things haphazardly. We just want to download and save whatever it is we need from the internet, or save whatever it is we're working on as quickly as possible so we can be done with it and move on. But if you want to always be able to find whatever you're looking for easily and quickly, the solution is surprisingly simple. All you have to do is add a keyword to your file name. So in that process of downloading or saving, all you need to do is add one keyword, not the same keyword to all, but one keyword that will make sure you're able to find that file again quickly and easily, no matter where it is saved. So you want to think of it like triage, right? The files come in, whether it's from your computer or something that you're working on, and you're going to sort, sift, or classify. That's what triage means in French. And so every time you're saving a PDF, a doc, a PNG, a PSD, whatever it is, you want to spend a few seconds up front to sort and sift and classify. So they're much easier to find when we need them later. Let me show you what it looks like and how I use it. Any and every document, image, PDF, whatever that I've created related to this Digital Sanity workshop and my bigger Digital Sanity course starts with the acronym DS. It doesn't matter if it's an image for this presentation, a stock photo for my Digital Sanity sales page, a video file for the Digital Sanity course, a text file I saved years ago when I was merely brainstorming this idea. It all starts with the letters DS. I've created this 2-letter classification, DS, for everything saved on my computer. This is my keyword, right? That's for anything that I create that's related to this workshop and my course. And this is what it looks like in my Finder. As you can see, everything is prefixed with DS. What adding DS to every file does is when I'm looking for a file related to the overarching subject of Digital Sanity, whether it's a file I've created and saved recently or something I created and saved a year ago, I'm able to find it. I can always find it just by searching DS. I never have to dig around to find any file related to this project. All I have to do is type in 2 letters in Spotlight or into my Finder search box. And those 2 letters, DS, that's my keyword. At the core of our, okay, so the reason that this works so well, and this is a little nerdy, but I do like to bring it up because I think it's important to understand why this works and to get you not on board with it, but to really make you realize that it works, is that at the core of our brain's filing system is our ability to recognize similar items and place them into categories. Okay, so we navigate the world and the things around us by uniting them together: food, animals, tools, and by placing them into these coherent categories that give them meaning to us. And we treat them as being of a kind so that we don't have to waste valuable mental energy on the details that are irrelevant for our purposes. It's energy efficient for us to group things together. When we identify and name a category, our brain creates this representation in our mind, and then it says everything that falls in it. It creates, separates the objects that fall in it from the ones that don't. Okay, so let's look at this in our real world. We could name dozens of vegetables and trees, but most of us just say grass. But there are 9,000 different species of grass. Bug, right? For ants, beetles, flies, spiders, caterpillars, grasshoppers, ticks, a large number of living things that are biologically quite distinct. But unless we're a bug scientist or unless we're a landscaper, bug and grass promotes cognitive economy by combining all of those things into a single category that most of the time, because we don't need to know anything else in great detail. It serves us for the purpose and the function in our lives. So it's not the biology of these organisms that unite them, but the function in our lives. So although our computers, if we look at this in our digital world, we look at our computer and it's a helpful place to store information in our files, and the files that we create, Word documents, whatever, and that contains the information in them, and then our computer allows us to store it outside of our mind. But it's not organized in a way where our mind can easily draw connections and make sense of it all. All the stuff on your desktop and in your Finder, your brain can't make those connections just by looking at it, right? So that requires some fine-grained categorization by us, by human. We can shift the burden of organizing from our brains to the external world, our computers, but we have to do a better job at categorizing and labeling the stuff as it comes in so that our brain can make sense of it all and can remember how to find it, where it is, based on its category. And that's where the keywords come in. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. This is the time to open up the workbook that you downloaded when we started. This is where, if you haven't downloaded it, it's on the upper left-hand side of the Crowdcast. Okay. So yeah, it's right there. So we're going to take a look at this really quick. And this is for you to refer to later, but I want to review it really quick before I get into the rest and really show you examples and show you how to implement this on your own via cleaning up your desktop, which is really awesome. Okay, so when I was coming up with this system, I started adding keywords to my documents. And as I was evolving it, I realized there are two questions to ask when naming a file. So either when you're looking at a document, like for example, this document. Now I named it a way that makes sense to me. It probably has, I think it has -ds, -workshop, your naming schema. Now to you, you just received this file and DS means nothing to you. You're probably not gonna remember that at all because DS to me is a project, right? So there's two questions. Is it a file related to a project? And if not, what word would you use to categorize it? So for me, it was this file that I created is related to a project, DS. And then to further kind of, make it more granular, it's part of the workshop, my digital sanity workshop. So I have DS and workshop in it. Everything else doesn't really matter. Now for you, this is probably something under workbook or learning. You want to give it that general category of what does this work? If you download this as sitting on your computer, what other files are similar to this one in terms of how you relate to it? Is it for learning? Is it for reference? Is it to do? And you want to put that keyword in the file name and rename it. Now you don't have to rename the whole thing. You can keep DS, workshop, and your naming schema in there, but you want to add the keyword that you're going to be able to remember when you want to search for it again. So it could still be in your downloads folder, buried under 300 or 400 other things. It could be on your desktop, buried under 300 or 400 things. It could be somewhere in your Dropbox or wherever. You'll always be able to find it. So here are some examples. Like for me, these are examples in my world. Project keywords are usually straightforward. They take the name of the project, but I shorthand them, and I would suggest that you do too, because they can make the file name really long. And when you have really long file names, it's hard to see, what that is, and you have to like click on it in order to see the full name, and it's annoying. So you want to keep your file names as short as possible, while also, including as many, keywords as possible, so that you'll be able to find it when you search them. So for Digital Sanity, which is this course, DS, Tool Candy, which is my weekly newsletter, TC, Gmail Mastery, which is another online course that I created, is GM, Work Hacks, which is my business, is WH, Lead Pages, which is his own project because it takes so much work to create all that stuff, is LP. Now, category keywords is basically you're grouping together related files together, being very broad, depending on your needs. But I encourage you to think of them as broadly as you possibly can, because as we get more specific, we typically we overthink naming. We overthink when we're naming things. We want to be broad in the sense that, how do you broadly think about the different stuff on your computer? So I have a lot of templates for workbooks and for Photoshop files, and for social media posts. So if you want the optimized size for an image on Facebook is different than Twitter. So I have all these templates so that I can drop in on my content and make sure it's the optimized size, all that. I have a lot of proposals that I create for clients, a lot of research. So this workbook, if I download it from somewhere else, I would probably call it research, because that encompasses for me all of the ebooks and workbooks and guides and 50 tips and 50 best ways to name your blog post, all that kind of stuff I consider research, and I name it and categorize it as research by adding research into the file name of all those files that I download. Okay. Now we're not going to do this now. We're gonna use this. I want you to use this as we are going through the next process and through the end of the week, so that you can finish that up. But you're going to use this. When you open up your Finder, I want you to look at all of your current folders and some of the random documents and ask yourself, like, what is this, and how would I categorize this or name this? Is it a project or is it a category? And if it is a category, what is the broad topic that comes to mind that this relates to? Okay. So we're going to start by tidying up our desktop using this system. Okay. Now, we're going to practice naming our files with project and category keywords, starting with renaming all the files on our desktop. So we're going to use this workbook to organize it, to get all the stuff off of our desktop. And I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to add easy to remember keyword to each file name, so we can safely move it off of our desktop and file it away. Because now with the keyword, we'll be able to find them quickly and easily, whatever we organized, simply by searching the easy to remember keywords that we added to the files. It shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes. And by the end, your desktop will look like this. In 15 minutes, you go from this to this. And I'm going to show you how to really quickly do that. All right, you ready? This is going to require some interaction. Let's get to work. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is open up your Finder app. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, your Finder app is the little blue smiling face icon that is anchored all the way at the bottom left side of your dock. Okay, so when you open that up, you're going to get your Finder window. Now, what I want you to do is, with your Finder app open, so you're going to kind of have to go away from this slide here, but with your Finder app open and active, meaning it's your frontmost window, I want you to hold down the Command key and the Shift key and then hit the letter D. So Command is the one right next to your space bar, and then Shift, D. This is the shortcut combination that the Finder window has that takes you directly to your desktop folder. So Command, Shift, D. There's so many shortcuts like this for Finder. It's insane. You could navigate your entire Finder window without ever touching your mouse. And I teach all of that in Digital Sanity. It's crazy. It's amazing how fast you can get in searching for things when you don't actually have to click around anywhere on the Finder window. It's amazing. Okay. Now that we're looking at our desktop, I want to share with you a little secret. When Apple released the Yosemite software update in late 2014, it included a bunch of new features that most people still don't know about. And one of those features is batch renaming. Batch renaming allows you to quickly rename multiple files at once, super easily and efficiently. To batch rename a group of files, select the files Oh, excuse me. I recorded this video, but I don't know how. Okay, so do I play? Okay, to batch rename a group of files, select the files you want to rename, and then right-click and select rename. So basically, you want to click all of them, and I'll show you here. Oh, I see. I'm looking at the wrong screen. Okay, let's try this again. So you can replace text, add text before or after the file name, and we're going to be doing before. And you can also like crazy change the format. And this lets you rename the entire file. It's more appropriate when addressing groups of files with dissimilar names. You can basically just rename the whole thing. It's amazing. Okay, so I updated this earlier today, and I think I have, okay. So what you're going to do is click on the files that are similar to one another. Like for example, all of these files here are part of, I downloaded them from like a free stock photo site, and they're great images that I can overlay text onto to promote this webinar, right? So if you click, and to do that, you can either take your mouse and click, and then click down and then drag your mouse over all the files, or if you hold down the Shift key and then click on each file that you want to rename individually, it will select those, but then also keep the ones before selected as well. So you can select multiples if you didn't know that. If you hold down the Shift key and then click, you can then select multiple items. Sorry, I thought I had this in here, but I didn't see it. Okay. So here are the images. Here are the things on my desktop that I'm going to rename, okay? They're all related to Digital Sanity, which for me is its own project, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add text before the name, and I'm going to use my short keyword, DS, and then social, because they're going to be used for social posts. This is, I kind of add another layer of context on it. I could just put DS and that would be fine. But as your system, and especially with Digital Sanity, because it's so much related to these workshops and the course, especially like random images and graphics and videos, I do like to have one more keyword that gives it some context. So social for me is the thing that I would search if I was searching for, oh, I want to repost again on Facebook. What was that social image I used a month ago? So I would search DS and social, and I'd remember it that way. And so that's the other keyword that I put in, and I want to put it in before the name, and then all I do is then hit rename. Okay. All right. So we're going to do this for you. Now I want you to go from your desktop folder to the place where you store and organize most of your files. For me, that's Dropbox. But for you, it might be your documents folder or a different cloud storage service. So open up your Finder window again, and then go to that place where you save and organize most of your stuff that's other than your desktop and your downloads folder. I want you to create a new folder and title it desktop. Now I know you've probably done this before, creating a desktop folder to dump all the things from your desktop into it, but this is going to be different. So create a desktop folder and just name it desktop. Now I want you to open a new tab in your Finder window by using the shortcut Command T. Okay, so if you hold down Command and hit T, it creates a new tab in your Finder, which a lot of people don't know. I mean, it's just like a browser window, right? You Command T for a new tab. You don't open up a whole new window. And in your Finder, same thing. You can open up a new tab in the same Finder window by hitting Command T. Like this, okay? So Command T opens up a new tab, and then I can click from one to the other instead of having to go from one window to the other. All right, so I rename them. I don't want you to simply move them. Select, right-click, then hit rename. And then I want you to drag them from your desktop from your real desktop to your new desktop folder. Sorry. So you drag them, first rename them. I added DS, rename, and then drag them. Oh, I had the wrong file open. To your new desktop folder within, for me, Dropbox. So it's not my real desktop, but it's my Dropbox folder I created. It's the desktop folder I created in Dropbox, okay. Because it doesn't matter where you save it if you name it right, in all honesty. Now, I like to organize some things, and whether you are, really, or you like to be really organized, or whether it doesn't really matter to you, as long as you're able to find stuff, it shouldn't, on a day-to-day basis, if you like to go in and clean up every couple of months, make sure things are put together properly, just kind of organize stuff and tidy it up, that's totally your prerogative to spend a weekend or whatever doing that. But while you're working, while you're busy, all you have to do is add keywords that you can remember to your file names so that when you search them, it's always findable. And you keep going and selecting similar files, renaming and moving them to your newly created desktop folder until your computer's actual desktop looks like this. Now you might be thinking, well, yeah, I'm just moving it from one desktop to another, quote unquote desktop file. But there is something to be said for when you walk in your house, right? If there's clutter and everything right when you walk in, right in your front door, right in the entryway, that, that adds some element of stress and frustration to your life. Same thing with your desktop. When you boot your computer up and you see all those file icons sitting on your desktop, it is not good for your mindset, for your productivity, all of that. So you want to get it off your desktop. I know why you put it there. I put stuff there too. But what we need to do is, at the end of the day, look at it, group stuff together, add keywords to the stuff we downloaded, and then just move it into one big folder. Or if you're more granular like me, you can use this next foldering system to name them and put them into the right place, okay? So quickly, I'm going to take you through a piece of what I teach in the course, which is how to name and create your folders so that they are always organized perfectly, okay? So when I was in the very early stages of creating the system, I quickly realized that the most common and default way that my Mac Finder would sort and display my files and folders to me was alphabetically, right, in descending order. But I wanted my files and folders to organize themselves so that all of my active projects were on top, my current projects, and then my ones that I access frequently, like images and assets and stuff like that, I wanted those underneath. And then I wanted all of the rest, admin, archives, stuff that I needed to refer to, but I didn't really access that often. And then all the rest of the stuff that I, might be synced folders, stuff that I barely, look at all. But I might, but that are there because they're collecting, photos or whatever it might be. But in a sequential alphabetical ordering system, sometimes important projects and files would be buried somewhere in the middle based on their name. This always frustrated me because in the middle of an important project I was working on, take this course, for example, it would be somewhere in the middle, buried in between all this other stuff. And a perfect example of this is my business work hacks, which means if I save anything related to work hacks or even WH for short, it's always at the very bottom. And it's the same case with files. By default, your Finder will order all things by their name. I could never find anything. So you've probably done this too. My first attempt, I added numbers in front of my files and folders. But that turned into a mess pretty quickly, right? Because you have multiple numbers and it looks like a mess. And you can do the same thing with letters, but again, it just ends up turning into a cluttered mess in terms of what it looks like and then also what's actually showing up at the top. And then I can't remember how it happened exactly. I stumbled across something I found super interesting. When sorted alphabetically, special characters order themselves above every number and every letter. So these are the special characters I started to play with. Every one of these special characters, if placed in front of a file name or a folder, will automatically put it on top of everything else. Basically, the only thing they compete for for the highest order alphabetically is themselves. When listed by name, underscore is on top, then hyphen is second, parentheses is third, bracket is fourth, so on. There are a lot of characters to consider. I chose parentheses, bracket, and backslash for my folders so that my folders organize themselves like this. Important project file folders are up at the top with parentheses around them, or current projects that I'm working on. Supporting stuff is beneath it with brackets. And then all the archive stuff, you know, like whether it's design assets, images, photo, camera upload, whatever, it all has a slash before it. So it's at the bottom. So this is what it looks like, right? On top I have DS, which is this course, and then TC for my weekly newsletter. And then assets, audio, copy, design, metrics, you know, and from there I have all that supporting stuff that supports Digital Sanity, that supports Tool Candy. And then again, like at the bottom, as you can see, with slash admin, automation, backups, design. So it's ordered in a way where when I look at my Finder, up at top is the things that I'm working on right now. The stuff in the middle is the supporting stuff that I refer to a lot and that I use a lot. And then the stuff on the bottom with the slash is stuff that I rarely access, but you know, it needs to be organized in there, like admin, like contracts and all that kind of stuff. Automation is if this then that, automatically will sync, you know, certain things. So it needs a folder in order to do that, those type of things. And now I've been working on the system for a long time, but I started pretty simple, and that's what I recommend you do. I didn't even get into how to use this with files, just because it would just take too long. But I recommend starting with 2 special character prefixes, okay? So important projects and things that you're working on and things that are current and things that you want up at the top. So when you're looking for stuff, it's always at the top, is put parentheses around it. So if your project is, you know, going to the moon, it would be GTM, go to moon, in parentheses up at for your folder. So it'll sit up at the top. And for your files, for important files, things that are really important, maybe it's a research paper that you're working on, maybe it's a big proposal or a contract, whatever it might be, and you just want it to sit at the top of everything else, put an underscore in front of it, in front of the first, you know, in front of the first letter. I like to put one in the front and one at the end of that project keyword in the beginning, just because it looks better that way. And that will actually organize itself even above the folders, because underscore organizes itself alphabetically above parentheses. But I would recommend starting with these 2. Okay, to wrap up, I'm going to show you some awesome Finder hacks that are going to blow your mind, and you're going to be like, I can't believe I didn't know these. So again, your Finder, the little guy on the left. Modifying your preferences can go a long way in adjusting your Finder to better fit the unique way you work. This is always the first thing that I recommend people do. You want to make sure that the open folders and tabs instead of new windows is checked. And if not, you should check that box, because as we talked about, tabs are so much more efficient to work with than opening new windows. But most people don't do it. It's right up there at the top. I mean, think about it. You navigate your web browser. You don't open up a whole new browser every time you want. You open up a new tab. It's so much better for navigating, browsing, searching multiple things in your browser, and then also in your Finder window. So start using tabs. Get used to hitting Command T when you want to open up a new place, a different place than when you're currently at in your Finder. Here's one use case. You want to move a file that's sitting on your desktop to a new folder you just created, okay? And we did this earlier when we were cleaning up our desktop. You open your desktop in a new tab by holding down the Command key and then clicking on the desktop folder. And then you drag the file into your previous tab, and you're done. Right? So let's do this again. Oops. Hold down the command, click on desktop, it opens it up in a new tab, select the file, and drag it into the new tab. You can close out the tab by hitting the X. Instead of opening up 2 Finder windows to drag something, right? Okay, now another thing that is really useful is that your Finder offers 4 views, 4 ways to customize the way that your items are displayed, right? It's icon, list, column, and cover flow. And they're all used, and they're all best used when you're kind of trying to look at things differently in order to find or make connections between the things that you're looking at. They all have their kind of, their different strengths in terms of why you would use one or the other. So this is icon view. This is list view. This is column view. And then this is cover flow. Okay, let's quickly go over the reasons to use one over the other. But what you can do is you can use the shortcuts to change your view without having to actually click on them. So if you're looking at it in one way, you can quickly change your view. So Command 1 will change it to icon view. Command 2 will show you list view. Command 3 will show you column view, and Command 4 will show you cover flow. So you never have to actually click on those icons up above. So if you're looking at something one way, like for example, if it's a digital image, you're gonna wanna search it in icon view versus in list view so you can actually see the image, right? Now, drag and drop, there's so much you can do with drag and drop on your Mac that you probably don't realize. And drag, if you're kind of confused what I mean by drag and drop, basically when you select an item or multiple items and drag them from one place to another, that's dragging. If you want to move a file or folder, you select it and drag it to a new place, and then when you let go, it drops it there, and that's dropping. Okay, so I'm going to show you some handy ways that you can use drag and drop to organize your files and folders. So you move things around super easy and quick. To keep an item in its original location, but quickly put a copy of it in a folder, hold down the Option key, then drag the item into the folder. You've created a copy while keeping the original in place. So I added one to that folder. You can make a copy of an item within the same folder by selecting the item and using the shortcut combination Command D. So that will auto-create a duplicate of that item within the same folder, and add the word copy at the end because they can't be named exactly the same. Now, drag and drop can be used for so much more than just moving files around. You can drag any file to an application that can handle it, and your Mac will attempt to open the file in that application. Sorry, my phone just started ringing. I'm using it as a... So you can click on it and drag it. Like I can drag that file into Adobe Illustrator, and it will open that document in that file, or in that application. You can use that with anything. So if you have a PDF that keeps opening in something else, you can just drag it into your Finder and it'll open it there. All right, you are now a Mac ninja. Well, you're getting there. Okay, so that is it for the content portion. I've put so much time, energy, and thought into this, and I am constantly learning new ways to both be more organized, but then also how to use what the Mac can do so much more efficiently. What I find is we get so frustrated with our technology, but we really don't know how to use it. There's so many features and shortcuts and keys to using it more effectively so that we can quickly go from one thing to another without having to use a lot of brain power, right? Right now, we're kind of we're chugging along, but if we were to really learn the ins and outs of how these machines work and all the hidden features that these amazing developers have put in, we can eliminate a lot of that lag and just the inefficiencies around our work. So I created a system to help you do this. I believe it's the most modern training program out there for designing your perfect digital workflow. I mean, right now, if you look up digital workflow or like file naming or organization, it's really boring stuff from college libraries about best taxonomy for naming your files. This is a implementable, modern, real-world course on how to organize your stuff. Make sure that you're able to find it, and then also how to declutter and clean it up. So it's a self-paced course that walks you through how to first declutter and then organize the rest. And by the end of decluttering and organizing, you will be amazed at the transformation. Your computer will feel brand new. And people have told me that after those first 2 steps, they're like, I can't believe it. It was worth it just after that because my computer feels like I just got it. And then finally, I show you how to automate that whole process moving forward so that your computer is always tidy without a lot of work from you. There's so many different tools and apps that you can use to automate certain processes. Like, for example, if there is a file that sits on my desktop that has DS in it, in the file name, it will automatically move it to my DS folder if I haven't accessed it in 2 days, for example. So you can take the things that you're doing often and say, okay, so if I leave it there and it has this in it, or if it's this kind of document and I don't access it, or immediately move it over there. Another thing it will do, like for example, that when I paused this application, I was so confused why it wasn't happening, which is when I download a zip file, it automatically unarchives it and puts the archive in the trash. And until you experience going from everything's always auto unarchived and the archive file goes into the trash, when you don't have that anymore, you're like, oh, I've got to click and open this file, and now I got to move this thing to the trash. It just seems like such a pain because there's all these little things that you can do that make working on your computer just so much easier. You can see everything that's included in the course by going to wrk.hk/digital sanity course. I've worked on this course for over a year to put together this step-by-step system. There's 15 hours of easily to follow video screencasts, 10 pages of resources and guides, all the things that you need to create your naming system, loads of Mac tips and tricks and bonus materials. It's a very robust course that by the end you will be amazed, and it's constantly being updated. And what I do is I include a lot of those updates in the Slack community that you'd also be invited to when you sign up for the course. And so you'll be invited to a private Slack community as soon as you join the course. This is where you can ask questions, post comments, get my direct help. If something that you need isn't in the course or you're confused about something, you go there, you ask a question, and I respond immediately. And then you also have direct access to me during live office hours every Thursday from 12 to 2, where I answer questions, troubleshoot problems, help to just really be there to support you because I know what this can do and how it can change your workday. And then as a special bonus, you will get a private one-on-one coaching session with me that you can redeem at any point over the next year. You'll be given access to my online calendar so you can figure out what's the best time that works for you. I wanted to offer this because I really want you to get the most out of the course. And so for the first group of people, you'll just be getting a lot of special early adopter status and access because when you enroll, you're not just investing in yourself, you're investing in me, and that means a lot. And you will be among one of my first 50 customers. And so I really am giving everyone special treatment, surprise perks, stuff that will not be available to future students. And then if you join before 3 p.m., you'll lock in the savings. I keep raising the price on this course because I've spent a lot of time, energy, and effort, and I continue to spend a lot of time and energy, effort in the Slack community and everything. I want everyone to get the most value, but I will keep raising the price of the course. So this is the cheapest that it's ever going to possibly be for you. So if you're even considering it, I would just recommend getting it now. Okay, thank you so much for staying to the end. Again, if you want to check out the course, it is, I should probably include this, wrk.hk/digital sanity course. I'll also send a follow-up email with a link to it. That's probably a better way of doing it. And then for your free gifts, I just said gifts again, wrk.hk/DS workshop freebies. So these are pulled right from the course. Checklists, action guides, and cheat sheets on shortcuts and just ways for you to maximize how you search and navigate for things using your Finder in Spotlight. Okay, now that is it for the presentation part. I will pop out and look at the chat to see if there are any questions. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Hello. Okay. Trying to go, so Sam says, trying to go paperless. All papers are scanned today and renamed this way, year, month, and stored into folders. Trying to do it better. I am also looking for a solution to, or app to manage scans OCR. the best thing for OCR is ScanSnap. It's Evernote's app. It's unreal. It is amazing. It's $400, but if you're using it for work, I would recommend just trying to get the company to buy it. It's incredible. You can scan like 50 or 60 different documents at once, and it just scans it and OCRs everything. For the way that things are currently named, I would use that mass renaming, where when you click on it, you can mass rename all of them using that format key, and you can come up with a very standard thing for that. But you can really easily rename things with the new mass rename option in Mac. Okay. Matt Segal, Alfred app 2, totally. Spotlight has gotten really good with the latest El Capitan update, I think, but I still use Alfred. I actually use Alfred separately I only let it show results for apps. So I have a special keystroke just for Alfred, and I use that just to search apps. And then I use Spotlight to search documents, and in Spotlight preferences, I have applications unchecked. So applications don't show up. So those two searches are separate, because I don't like to see like applications also with the results of documents and things that I'm looking for. I like to kind of keep those things separate. So Janaz Vineyard, I hope I answered the question of like what the different dividers, DS and underscore and all of that is. It's so that they organize themselves alphabetically in a way that I want versus the first letter of the file name. Cool, cool, cool. Thanks, Matt, for asking. Ta-da. All right, Matt, I'm going to look at your crazy organizing system later. All right. Would each client folder be a different project? That is a good question, Jamie. So it depends. When you open up your Finder window, if you have 3 major clients, you might want to just have them listed right there up at the top. You don't want to have to click on a client folder and then just to get those 3. If you have a long, long list, maybe even you have 3 right now and you pull them out. Because a lot of times what I'll do is, like, for example, Digital Sanity right now is a project I'm working on. Let's say in a few years, I'm working on something else that's more important, whatever. I might put that into a folder of like archive projects. And you might have a client folder of clients, and it's, with the slash, so it sits at the bottom of clients, and those are all your old clients. But your new clients are up at the top in your main folder. It's basically how often do you access that folder? If you access it multiple times a day, every day, pull it out and put it in the main window. Like, it doesn't really matter to me if organizationally, like, how many subfolders deep? I think we're over foldering stuff. We need to start to decouple some of these like layered in, because we forget that we put it there. Oh, in the question section. Yes, so I hope that answers your question, Jamie. So I need to go into the question section, which I don't know how to do. Clay, I don't know how to get to the questions section. Oh, I see. Okay, I see it. Never mind. Okay, so Vinzi says, what is the best way to manage photos, especially when you're importing ton from Mac to PC, from folders to Mac from a PC? It's a great question. I have a lot of photos. I actually have more like graphics, like blog graphics and blog headers and all that kind of stuff. But I would recommend, again, like when something comes in, it's like IMG underscore, some random number underscore another random number, is select the ones that are together. Like, let's say it's an event. I mean, your Photos app, if you drag them into there, will kind of organize them based on location and time and kind of group them that way. I would select them and then right click and mass rename and then select format, and it will completely change the name. So you might call it spring break underscore 01 for the first one, and then it'll name the second one 02, 03, 04, 05. So you can create those keywords and kind of pretty much rename the whole thing. You can create automation systems using something like Hazel, which is what I show you in the course, to automate that. So when an image comes in, if it's downloaded from a certain place or put in a certain folder, it will automatically rename it something that you want instead of that IMG underscore, whatever. So there's a little bit of the how hands-on does it need to be, how much do you actually need to go through and categorize it, or do you just need certain groups to have certain keywords so that they organize themselves together and you're more easily able to find them. That's how I would recommend getting started. Going paperless and nomadic, Dropbox, Google Drive, Evernote, all of the above. So I don't know if you have an iPhone, but I would recommend using Scannable. That one. That is Evernote's app. It's basically like a big ad for ScanSnap, which I talked about before, which is like you put a bunch of files in and OCRs it and puts it right. It's amazing. This, it's like looking for document. You hovered over a document, it finds it, it automatically takes the picture, and then it cleans it up and makes it look like, the orangish color, and pops the text and makes the background of the paper white. So it just looks really nice. It doesn't look like it was a photo. And then you create a folder within Evernote and it will automatically send it there. So now whenever, and it also works with contacts, and you can, every time you take a picture of a business card, it will automatically create a new contact in your iPhone address book, which is unreal. But take a picture and then I have it go into a folder called ScanSnap. You can have it go into whatever folder you want in the settings. And so it has the location and different tags, and then I name it before I hit send. So then I name it something relevant like tax document 2016. ScanSnap. It's amazing. That's what I would recommend, Jonas. And thank you, Sam. Awesome blog. I love your work. I love you too. Okay. You screen dump on your work folder, sorted by brand clients. I think you guys are having a conversation. Cool. I can't wait to click through all of your stuff, Matt. I'm going to creep on your organization system, maybe steal some stuff. Scannable. Amazing, Jonas. Because even if you want to use a scanner, you gotta take the paper, go over to the scanner, put it in the scanner, scan it, connect your computer. And so we have a nice scanner, but I'm never gonna do that. And with Scannable too, you can add multiple documents to the same thing, so it'll group them together. So you take a picture of the front, take a picture of the back, take a picture of the 3 different papers that you have that might be bank statements or whatever, and it'll group it into one document. All right, I gotta start using this stuff or clicking this stuff. Cool. I love how you're using the special characters. It's very exciting to me. Very exciting. All right, any other questions? Any other questions? I keep clicking somewhere and then I don't know where I am. Okay. Yeah, I would stop subfoldering. The reason we can't find anything is that we're over organizing it. Sometimes that happens even with the stuff in your house. And the biggest problem, so I'm reading The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up because it's, it makes a lot of sense for me. And the way that she describes stuff is very much in line with how I started to understand how to organize things digitally. The biggest problem is we have too much stuff. We just don't need it. We have files from 6 years ago, like a PDF of like social media 101 or whatever, but it's cluttering up our computers. So we subfile, we just get better at organizing the stuff versus just getting rid of it, you know, kind of purging. And that's part of the course as well, where the first part is get an external hard drive, get a new one. Anything that you haven't touched in a year that you haven't opened, which I show you an app that allows you to sort your stuff by last, sort everything on your computer by last date opened. Everything that's a year or more, or year or later. So anything more than a year old in terms of when you accessed it, automatically gets dragged to external hard drive. It's not gone. If you really need to find it, if you really need it sometime in the future, you know exactly where it is. It's on that external hard drive. But that's going to make all the stuff that you created in the last year and that you do need so much more easy to find, access, and organize, because there's not all of this stuff, this cluttering the important stuff, and making it hard to find what you need. So same thing with a house, right? If you have so much stuff in your garage, it's hard to find what you need. But if you were to get rid of all the stuff you don't need, finding the stuff that you do need is so much easier. So that takes a little bit of that's why I have everyone get an external hard drive, not delete it, because at least you it's like a storage unit, right? Like you move all those files to a storage unit, and then eventually you're like, oh yeah, I've had that stuff on an external hard drive for a year and I've never accessed it. Jamie, I do not go into Evernote in my course, although that has been recommended by someone else as well. So I would definitely consider using it. And I'd love to hear how you would like that to be. And I could make something custom for you and put that in the course and see how it goes. Because I use Evernote a specific way in terms of I use it for, drafts and notes, and then also organizing some of my physical stuff using Scannable. And with Evernote, it's kind of like your own system. Like it does everything. You just need to choose what you want it to do and then organize it accordingly. So I use the same foldering system that I use on my desktop in my Evernote. So, I mean, maybe I could even show you here. Yeah, Evernote is its own animal, but I'd be happy to do like an extra bonus kind of thing. Like here, I'll show my screen really quick. Whoops, that's not showing my screen. Like here, ignore. Like here, as you can see on the left, like scan, snap, in parentheses, unfile, because those are the things I want to file. And then, Digital Sanity, here's, some of the testimonial stuff and my naming scheme, partnerships, like all of my notes that I've created. And then ideas and different stuff is in there. And then I also use IFT. So I do use that same kind of naming practice in order to organize my folders and organize my notebooks and notes. Now, what you use Evernote for, you could use it for something totally different than how I use it. That's kind of the beauty and the challenge of Evernote, is that it really can be used. It's like your digital brain, which is just too vague for people. But I do use the same naming system so that I can always find what I'm looking for. Like, for example, anything that's digital sanity related has a tag DS, which is also in the Digital Sanity folder, but it's also tagged DS. So that all I have to do is search DS in the tags, and I'd be able to find everything I've ever saved in there related to Digital Sanity. Awesome. So is there any other questions, any other way I can help you? I'm here. You can also reach out to me after this webinar, julia@workhacks.com, if you have a question that you didn't ask, or you're embarrassed to ask it, or whatever, or if you just want to say hello, go ahead and email me, and I will email everyone with links to the replay and the course, just so you have it. All right, one more, Jamie. I'm here. Suck it to me. Typing. So I'll take a drink. These are oranges from my backyard. portfolio, the perfect Gmail app for Mac. How did you get there? What you want is, I know what you want. I know what link you want. Hold on. How did you get there, Jamie? How did you get to that link? It's in my portfolio? I'll have to look into that. But the perfect Gmail app for Mac is Kiwi, Kiwi. It basically replicates Gmail's function, all of Gmail's functionality. It basically just creates a standalone app. And it basically creates the interface that you're used to in your browser, but as its own app. The good thing about not blogging too much is that you don't have to go that far back to find things that you need. Boom. I still can't find it though. But I can show you Kiwi Mac app. I'll get the link for you here. Oh yeah. I don't know much about OneNote, Vinzi. I've just been trying to use Evernote. I really only started actually using Evernote again recently. I was using Simple Note. And I still kind of use Simple Note for certain things. I use Simple Note for like email drafts that I'm like just trying to like, instead of like actually creating an email, draft an email, I'll do it there, or like call notes and meeting notes I put there. And then I was also using Letterpress for more like longer like ideas and thoughts in writing. And now I'm using Evernote for the thoughts and writing and just kind of, I mean, it is really what they say, which is like, it's your digital brain. It's the place for you to put all that stuff in one place. So I don't know, because I can't compare it to OneNote. I know the Evernote team's been around. They're not going anywhere. I used to use Workflowy, but I stopped and I can't tell you why. I like to mind map things and then flush them out versus using something like Workflowy. But Workflowy worked for me for a while, but then I ended up exporting it and saving it. Sometimes I feel like I use something for a while and then the ideas in there are just old and I don't really need them anymore. So instead of deleting everything, I just switch apps. So it's kind of indicative of the world that we live in today. Just so much information, just overwhelmed, that instead of cleaning up what we have, I just end up switching to a new app. Yeah, I use MindNode, which is kind of expensive. But if you use it enough, it's worth it, right? I mean, I kind of think that way, like with bras. Like, why would you spend $60 on a bra? Because you wear it every day. So if you use it, I know the bra thing probably didn't relate to most of you. But if you use it a lot, then it's worth it. Yeah, MindNode Lite is like Clay said. Todoist doesn't work with Kiwi yet, but I know that they are working on a lot of integrations. I was using Todoist. I'm an OmniFocus user, B. Baller. I am a Omni pimp. I am an Omni fan. OmniFocus is a lot, Matt. Like if you're not, I use it for I use reminders for kind of random stuff, and then OmniFocus to like think about like what needs to happen with a project, like with this workshop. What are all the things that I need to do, all the little steps that I need to do in order to make this happen? I have to create the worksheet. You know, I have to make sure that the links to all the free resources are correct. Like the first time it wasn't. Like how it helps me kind of like use what workflow is also good for, like kind of an outline of like all the things that need to get done. And then I use that to sync with my calendar, so then it creates events in my calendar so that I can keep up with that. What I do with old contacts, I just kind of put them in a /archive. And then at a certain point, when I plug in my external hard drive, I just move them there. As soon as my computer starts to slow down because I have too much stuff on it, because I have a MacBook Air, it doesn't take very much, especially if you're creating a lot of videos and if the stuff that you have is heavy, a lot of video or photos. And I just move it there. Like it's kind of, data's so cheap. You know, I have a $60, you know, awesome terabyte external hard drive, and I just dump stuff on there. And then at some point, I haven't even really gone through it. I just kind of, every once in a while I'll plug it in and be like, oh yeah, I remember that, but I don't really need it, but I don't want to necessarily delete it just yet, because what if? So I kind of just get it off my computer, but it's still somewhere if I really need it. Vinzi, so Trello is really good if you, so I think basically it's like, what's the best to do app? The one that you use. So like, for example, OmniFocus might be way too heavy, have way too many bells and whistles for a lot of people. The Reminders app is perfect for them because they just want to like put down a couple of tasks, a couple of groups of tasks, and like that's good. Trello is really great for a certain kind of way of thinking, because what it does is it puts your projects it puts your projects in certain places, and then allows you to create these kind of rectangular windows in the same spot where you can kind of see progress and see things side by side. So it allows you to view things in kind of more of a note card-like scenario, like almost like a Post-it. And so I think that each to-do app is great. If you use it, it's the best for you. And so I would recommend like signing up for free Trello, adding some stuff in there. Like, do you like the way it looks? Do you like the way it feels? Because it really mostly is about like, do you like the environment of your to-do list? Because if you don't like the environment, if you feel like it's missing a key element, then you won't use it, even if it's the best to-do list app out there. I'd recommend, you know, just trying the free ones. Like you just Google best to-do apps, download a couple, spend each week and just try new ones, add some stuff in, and then find the one where you're like, I think this is like the place, this is the home, this is where my stuff, I can like put it all in there and make it my home for the things I need to do. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for staying for so long. I love you guys. This is my third webinar, and I'm just getting better and better. The first one was hilarious, and it was a train wreck. The second one, I got tripped up somewhere in the middle. This one I'm feeling pretty good about, except for the little mishap with the video playing thing with the desktop cleanup. I got to practice that a little bit. I'm thinking about making these webinars as we move forward, or these workshops, like workshops, not webinars. Different topics, like I help you, figure out the best to-do list, or, whatever it might be. But just practice, practice, practice. All right, Shay, Christopher, Jimmy, Blaine, Beck, Jamie, Jonas, Patrick, Matt, and Vinzi, thank you so much for joining. And I'll see you next time. I'll be here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Again, I'll email everyone. So you have a link for next week. You have the replay and everything that you need. Thanks, everybody. Have a great hump day.